MyPlate replaces the pyramid. The new food exhibit at the National Archives, reducing diabetes without weight loss. And Chef Charleen Huebner, an instructor at Stratford University, on their street food course. For June 8, 2011, this is Food News Today. Good morning. Immediately following Food News Today, we continue with a live discussion in our chat room below. I hope you'll sign in, I hope you'll join us, and feel free to type during the broadcast. I promise, as I've written in our chat, it will not distract me. Food News Today is sponsored by ConAgra Foods, who shares with me the desire to provide the most current, interesting, and unbiased food news. So let's get right to our contest winner. Thank all of you who participated in our first ever Food News Today contest. So where was I? Yeah, I know it wasn't that difficult. I'm right at the bottom in E5. Yep, that's exactly how I looked in 1983. Standing next to me was actually the artist. He drew himself in as well. And we would be discussing what the future is like. So who's the big winner? Well, let's take a look. And the winner is Jane Cohn. So Jane, we're going to contact you later this morning, to get your address and get you out your winning grab bag. Now back to the program. Out of Washington always comes change, and this time it's My Pyramid out and MyPlate in. A colorful 4-part plate with a side portion of dairy replaces the 19-year-old food pyramid as the icon of the U.S. dietary guidelines, with the intent of empowering Americans to eat the correct mix and portions of foods. Released June 2nd, MyPlate is the next generation's food icon. According to Robert Post, the deputy director of the USDA's Center for Nutrition Policy and Promotion. He goes on to say, and I quote, "The icon is the visual cue to get to online resources, to online media, and to unified nutrition messages from public and private sector efforts." Food News Today commends the USDA for taking the step to create a more visual, comprehensive, and interactive representation of the dietary guidelines. It's about time that we learned how to communicate 2011 style. Unlike the confusing and sometimes indiscernible food pyramid logo, shoppers will now have a better idea of what their total diet and general meals should actually look like on a plate, not with somebody running up the side of a pyramid. MyPlate features the 5 food groups that are vital to a healthy diet: fruits, vegetables, grains, protein, and dairy. Fruits and vegetables take up half the plate. Grains and protein take up the other half. The grain portion is slightly larger than the protein slice. Now, the brilliance of the plate is really its simplicity. The fact that the plate itself does not suggest any specific foods directly on the image actually helps consumers choose from a variety of foods and not get stuck in a rut. The information at myplate.gov is thorough, well thought out, and if promoted well and used, and both are big ifs, it will be able to clear up much of the consumer confusion that surrounds what and how much to eat for good health. More to come. In the fall, myplate.gov will launch a suite of interactive web-based tools. Enjoy food, but eat less. We can only hope that the program is a success. The way we look at our foods has evolved, from word of mouth to newspaper and magazine ads to TV and now to the internet, even mobile devices. How we communicate food benefits have become a science. In Consumer Trends today, we head to the National Archives and take a look at a new exhibit, What's Cooking Uncle Sam? The Government's Effect on the American Diet. It's time for all foodies and marketers to head to Washington and visit the National Archives between June 10th and January 3rd, 2012 to see the exhibit and learn about the history behind the government's involvement with our foods. Some of the exhibitions may surprise you, like how this poster promoting cottage cheese as a protein substitute was part of the original Meatless Mondays campaign during World War I that was promoted by the Food Administration under Herbert Hoover. You can discover what was on the menu at Lyndon Johnson's state dinners and how the Poison Squad was a group of government volunteers who actually tasted tainted food to help scientists better understand the effects of boric acid and other additives. Now, you probably already know that Birdseye got the patent for the first frozen food processing machine. But did you know that ketchup was among the first commercial successful foods? Discover why canned meat and candy were so dangerous at the time of the Industrial Revolution and what was done about it. You can even view Upton Sinclair's original letter to President Theodore Roosevelt about the meatpacking industry and see an actual photo, I love this, of the pig cafeteria, which was one of the many exhibits created to educate farmers. Spanning the Revolutionary War era through the late 1900s, the exhibition is arranged into 4 themes: farm, factory, kitchen, and table. And hey, does this poster of Uncle Sam remind anyone of the White House garden today? In nutrition news, it's all about reducing the risk of diabetes without weight loss. The proportion of the population with diabetes has been rising rapidly in recent years and continues to do so. In North America, approximately 12% of the population is diabetic, and this figure is expected to rise. Weight loss has been one of the first recommendations of doctors helping patients gain control over their diabetes, but a new study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition challenges this notion and pinpoints a crucial factor that targets insulin sensitivity. Researchers from the University of Alabama at Birmingham found that after 8 weeks, participants on a lower fat diet, 27% fat, instead of the average American's 33%, had significantly higher insulin secretion and thus better glucose tolerance, as well as higher insulin sensitivity. All indicators of a decreased risk for diabetes. What does it mean? Well, it's not the quantity alone that's the culprit. The nutritional quality of our foods may be even more important in risk for type 2 diabetes. Food trucks are all the rage, and now one university creates a food truck college course. In our Retail Trends Report, we interview Chef Charleen Huebner, an instructor at Stratford University in Woodbridge, Virginia. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization, around 2.5 billion, that's billion people around the world eat street food every day. This new street food course will focus on giving students an in-depth awareness about the cuisine, as well as how they may go about owning and developing their own street food business. Chef, thanks for joining us. Now, street food is not a new phenomenon. It's been about 100 years old. What's creating all this new excitement?
Well, I think now with the Food Channel, more of the celebrity chef, it's much easier than getting a mortar and brick establishment, or lots of chefs are taking this route in order to make money, in order to get themselves a freestanding restaurant. So it's a convenient way to get your name out. It's where you can allow the public to get to know your food without actually having to put up all the money up front. It's been around for a long, long time, from the hot dog vendors in New York City that sell the pretzels and the warm chestnuts on the street.
Chef, this sounds like a brilliant idea. What made you think of it?
I was looking for something that was in now, that was something that a student who is looking to open up their own business would be easily able to translate that into a food truck. So I wanted to give them a taste. And plus with this, not only did it give them a taste of what it would be like to have a street food business, because we actually did have a truck come in and talk to the class and show them what it was all about, but it also gave them exposure to, hey, this is life around the world, in other cultures, in other countries. It is something that is part of their lives.
So I've decided I want to get into food. I want to get into your class. What am I going to learn?
In this class, we took it not by country, but we took it by types of food. We did the Great Sausage Day, and we did all types of sausages, hot dogs from all over the world. We did a day of fried days, of the corn dog, which is very popular, to even a fried Snickers bar. Delved into Asian, did noodles and soups, but again, taking peasant food, street food, that some of these students, through their military experience, have experienced, and just brought it more into the mainstream. What could be sellable. But for you to come, you would have to take some foundation courses beforehand.
Chef, we're located in Southern California, which for some is the mecca of food trucks. However, These are very sophisticated food trucks. I can't even get a normal hot dog anymore. What's going on?
Absolutely. You're seeing much more of a sophisticated palate, much more thought going into the food. Fusion, you talk about Southern California, you have your Mexican, your Korean, you have a lot of Asian. So one of the big trucks is the Kogi barbecue truck, where they fuse tacos with Korean and do a Korean style taco. So you are looking at a higher class of food, a more elegant food, not your corn dog or your hot dog, although they're still out there and they are the foundations. But in other cultures, you will see the hot dog used with different toppings, different styles, different fusions. So you can't always knock out the little small guy, because that's where we all started from.
Now let's talk beyond food for a second. All these food trucks are being successful on Twitter and Facebook. Are you teaching these students all of those marketing tools?
Well, part of the class, they have a project where they are told about going on to Twitter. I have them follow food trucks on Twitter. Look at how they market. Look at where they're going in locations, because it's not all about just getting in the food and making this great dish. You know, just getting in the truck, making this fabulous dish, and going out there. You have to know where your market is. You have to know hours and times.
Thank you, Chef. You know, it's a terrific idea, and I'm just wondering how supermarkets can take advantage of it. We've got a lot of food industry programs at universities around the country, but no one is talking about street food there. Let's head to the chat. What's on your mind today? And let's see what's up first. Joe H. says that there's no question that MyPlate is better than the Pyramid. I agree with you that its success remains to be seen. I, for one, am hopeful, but skeptical. And Joe, I sort of agree with you. It's all about the promotion. You know, once you create a tool, it's how you get the word out there. I do think, however, that having the MyPlate graphic on packages instead of the food pyramid is a huge step forward, because it really communicates very simply. But as we both know, it's going to be about the execution. Roop is asking, go back to eating less. Should we all go away from the table hungry? Absolutely not. And wanting more, or is there a better way of measuring the amount of food that we consume? Well, Roop, I've got to tell you, for me, it's about the quality of food. It's an example that I use all the time, but I see people, you know, eating large candy bars this big and being hungry. I also see people eating a square, 1-inch square of really good, high-quality dark chocolate and being satisfied. I think a lot of it has to do with the foods that we're eating. I don't think any of us should walk away from the table hungry. However, it's all about the density of the foods, it's all about the nutrients of the food and the quality. And I think that's going to be the major challenge that we all have. Now, the good news is that a lot of the school nutritionists are actually making changes. So if we can rear the next generation of folks, our students, to really understand what real food tastes like, I think, frankly, that we all win. Roop is also asking, are food trucks rated for cleanliness like restaurants are? And Roop, that's about the state and the city ordinances. Some cities do have it, some cities don't. And I, for one, am very concerned about the food safety on food trucks. People have great intentions, but cleaning out a food truck is very different than cleaning out a restaurant. If you've ever passed by a restaurant after it's closed at maybe 1, 2, or 3 o'clock in the morning and see what they do, they're really scrubbing it all down with very hot water. The whole kitchen gets disassembled. Can't do that in a truck. So be careful. Look carefully in the window to see what goes on before you buy. And with that, looks like we have no more questions. And as a result, for Food News Today, I'm Phil Lempert. Thanks for joining us. And if you have a colleague in retailing, the media, or a blogger who would also like to receive our advanced email, please ask them to visit us at foodnewstoday.com to sign up. Next week's stories will be in your Tuesday email. Have a great week.